This is the story time of the worst date that I've been on in my entire life. Let's call this guy Edwin because that was his name. So Edwin and I had been on only 2 dates and we were talking for like less than 3 weeks. He was a really nice guy. Like after our first date, it was my birthday a week later and he gave me like champagne and roses, just like randomly dropped them off at my apartment. So I was like, he's a vibe. So Edwin and I are planning our 3rd date and he's like, oh, it's your turn to pamper me. So immediately I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, this date's on you. Like you're gonna plan it, you're gonna pay for it, you're gonna do everything. And I'm like, because I'd assume that's a fucking joke. So I keep saying to him, I'm like, you're so funny, you're so funny. But I go ahead and I like book the date. I just book one of like my favorite sushi spots and I'm like, he's like not gonna make me pay. That'd be absolutely insane. Listen, I would not mind paying for a date if I was in a relationship with somebody, not when I'm going on the 3rd fucking date and you're supposed to impress me to try and get in my pants. So the whole week we're talking about this and he's like, can't wait for your treat. And now I'm starting to get fucking triggered because in my past relationships, I was like the breadwinner, so I always paid for fucking everything and I dated losers, so they expected me to pay for everything. So we get to the sushi restaurant, everything's going great, and then they're like, oh, what do you guys want to drink? Like the waiter's like, what do you guys want to drink? And he's like, ooh, I'm gonna get something fancy because Livy's paying today. What? So then I'm like, okay, Livy, time to be vulnerable. Let him know about your past. So I let him know, I'm like, hey, like, just so you know, this is really triggering me because I was used in my past relationships because I was the breadwinner. So this is like super triggering for me. And if this is like a joke to you, it's really not funny. He's like, I'm not kidding. And I'm like, what? He's still kidding. So the bill comes and he slides it my way. And he's like, here you go. Man, if you're watching, there's nothing that makes a woman drier in the entire world than you like literally sliding the bill towards her. Like that's pathetic. But I say, fuck it, you know what? If I'm gonna pay like a baller. So I pull out like hundreds. Go to part 2. So I'm counting these hundreds in front of him. It's like literally $400. I'm not like racks on racks on racks. It's literally $400. And I'm counting them in front of him. And he's like, oh my God, where did you get those? And I'm like, they're literally hundreds. Like they're not hard to find. Like he was acting like I was showing him like an ancient artifact. Like it's literally just hundreds. The bill's $150. I throw down $200 and I tell the server, I'm like, keep the change, keep it all. As soon as the server is like grabbing it, Edwin fucking grabs my cash and throws his card down. So I'm like, I knew he wouldn't let me pay. No. He's like, I have no cash on me, so I just want cash on me. This man took the cash that I was giving the server and was like, oh, I just don't have cash on me. I want your cash. My main concern though, I'm like, make sure you leave the waiter exactly what I was going to tip him because I was tipping him fat on purpose. And then Edwin looks at me and he was like, I'm going to give you your cash back at the end of the night. Like, you don't have to be in such a horrible mood. So I'm like, what? Just give it to me now. Like, you don't have to wait till the end of the night. So the night goes on and I'm completely unattracted to Edwin. I'm like, you are actually pretty fucking disgusting. Like I'm immediately unattracted. I'm like, hey, can you just like drop me off at home? I just really don't want to be out anymore. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he drops me off, gives me a hug goodbye. And I'm expecting like, oh, you know, he said he's going to give me my cash back. I'm expecting he's going to give me my cash back. No, the fucker does not give me my cash back. And I'm like, okay, ew. So I call my friends the next day. I tell them the entire story I just told you. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm traumatized. Like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, no, literally, what was it? Like, I've literally never heard anything like that. And I go and I get drinks with, like, my guy friends. And they're like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm like, well, this kind of sucks because I did kind of like the guy. But I'm not going to be, like, forced into paying for something on the 3rd date when you're supposed to be, like, courting me or whatever that means. So I'm like, I'm done. He keeps trying to text me and I'm like, no, I'm good. A week later, he texts me and he's like, you know, I've been going through some family stuff. Like, you could have checked in on me. I'm like, you're not my boyfriend and I really don't fuck with you after everything that just happened. Like, absolutely not. So that's the story time of my worst date ever. And I pray that never happens to anybody else. I'm back in my hometown. I decided I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I found my college ex-boyfriend cheating on me on Thanksgiving. So my ex and I were doing Thanksgiving at my uncle's house, and then we were gonna go to his aunt and uncle's house. We were just splitting them up. My ex was driving us to his uncle's house, and he was like, hey, can you text my cousin the address? And I found that super weird because I don't fucking know his cousin, nor do I have his cousin's phone number in my phone whatsoever. And my ex would normally just like let me take his phone to text his cousin to figure out what the address was. So I'm like, babe, just give me your phone because I don't have your cousin's number, so I'm just gonna text him from your phone. As soon as I say this, I see him swiping to delete a message. I'm like, absolutely fucking not. I grabbed that phone so quickly to see that he was texting another woman. Keep in mind, my ex is driving at this time and he's freaking the fuck out. I'm like, who is this bitch? Who is this bitch? And he's not telling me anything. He's lying to me. And I could just like tell that he was lying to me. So I decide to text her like I'm him. He told me he met her at school and I text her and I'm like, I love the story of how we met. Can you tell me again? Like pretending to be him. He's like, we met at that charity event. And I look at him, I'm like, really? You're trying to fuck another bitch while you're supposed to be helping kids with cancer? Really? So then I'm texting her and I'm like, have I ever told you, really? I'm like, have I ever told you how beautiful you are? She's like, you tell me I'm beautiful every day. I'm like, really? I tell you you're beautiful every day. Babe, really? Every day? So then I'm like, have I told you that we really need to hang out? And she's like, you've been talking about it for a while that we should really go on a date. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. And so I look at my ex, I'm like, fuck this, I'm done. I throw his phone at him. I'm like, forget it, we're done. Take me back home. I'm not going to your uncle's house whatsoever. I'm done with you. Like, we're no longer together. This man starts losing his mind, screaming, crying while he's driving. So he's swerving on the highway. And I'm like, fuck, like, I'm literally about to die at this point. Like, no, we can't be done. We can't be done. Like, bawling his eyes out, like, you know how they do when they've been caught cheating and they somehow start crying. I don't give a fuck. Take me home right now. He's like, no, we're not going home. I'm like, okay, he's literally gonna fucking kill me. Because he's fully swerving on the highway and he's not giving a single fuck. So I'm like, okay, I wanna live. So I look at him, I'm like, babe, just take me back to my condo, literally my mom's house, because we can just like talk through this. We can just like walk through this. I know you're gonna hate me, but go to part 2. So we get to my mom's condo and my mom and sisters and everybody is there. And I walk in and like, I'm in tears, he's in tears. And my mom's like, what's wrong? I'm like, he fucking cheated. Like, are we surprised? And he's like in tears. He's like, you said you wouldn't do this. You said you wouldn't tell anybody. And I'm like, oops, sorry. I fucking lied just like you. So then he's crying, talking to my mom. And I just go into my room and I'm like, I cannot be bothered with this. I'm over it. And I just keep hearing them talking about like, if we're still together. He's like, I want to be together. My mom's like, she'll take you back. And I'm like, no, the fuck I won't. No, I won't. And I stood by that. And I was not taking him back because I wasn't going to be with him after he fully was cheating on me. Also, this was like not the first time I caught him doing some weird, shady, sketchy stuff. God, does my eyelash look horrible. Wait, they slay. Also, what really pissed me off is that my mom and my sister were like completely taking his side. They're like, he didn't fully cheat. And I was like, because he didn't have an opportunity to put his dick in her yet, but I'm sure he would have. Like, whatever, I literally don't care. I'm still leaving. I don't care if anyone thinks I'm dramatic. I don't want to be treated like that. Because that's cheating in my eyes. Or even like attempting cheating. Really? I'm telling the story about how you literally, when my ex cheated on me and you were like, he didn't do anything wrong. Now how do you... Oh, God. No. So we ended, but the breakup was pretty toxic from there on out. That relationship ended, but that was not the end of a toxic breakup. But now every time I'm back at my mom's, it like pops into my head. Like I literally forget about it. And then like Thanksgiving comes around and I'm like, I remember when that happened.
I'm an asshole for screwing up my boyfriend's interview by not doing his laundry on purpose. My boyfriend, who's 26, had a big interview on Friday that could really jumpstart his career. He's been planning for about 3 weeks, and I usually do all the laundry and take care of our flat in terms of cleaning. On Wednesday, he wanted to wear a very specific blazer and was in the bin to be washed. I usually do the laundry on the weekends because I'm a full-time university student, and I work part-time during the week, so it's hard to go to the laundromat. I told him I would do it Thursday night, though, and he said okay. Mind you, he has not been working since he graduated school in the fall last semester, and his parents help him pay rent until he gets a job. Anyway, Thursday runs around and I get home from class and he's just playing video games and immediately asks me when I'm going to do laundry since he's very nervous and wants it to go perfectly. I am so tired from school because I had an exam and he didn't even ask me about it. So I was very irritated and said I'm going to do it later, but I'm gonna go take a nap first. He says okay and that he's going to meet up with a friend for a drink to calm his nerves. Anyways, I ended up not doing the laundry because I was tired and pissed off, and he got super pissed and ended up wearing something else and saying that I screwed him over. And as of right now, he's not speaking to me. I did ask if he could do his laundry.